Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Episode 52, Emerald Island. After playing volleyball for a while, the girls decided to take a break on the beach next to the volleyball court. There were many sunbeds, umbrellas, and beach mats. Some of the girls relaxed on recliners, while others were lying on the mats. They were sipping drinks brought to them by the waiters. The sweat on their bodies reflected the sunlight and emphasized their voluptuousness. Very little was left to the imagination of anyone walking by.
When did he call you?
One of the girls asked her friends as she took a sip of juice.
I got the call last night and a helicopter brought me here today.
Her friend replied. Another girl joined in.
I arrived the day before yesterday.
I arrived yesterday,
Said another. Girls found out that they had all received an invitation from Matthew Florento in the past 2 days and had been collected by helicopter and brought to that small island.
It seems that we're all his girlfriends. I thought I was the only one.
A beautiful young woman said crossly.
How can that be? Think about it. He must only spend a few days a year with you. I know that I only get to see him for the days a year.
Only one day for me.
Another girl said. Despondently, a smug girl said.
I feel better. He spends 2.5 days with me.
I only get a half a day.
Another girl sobbed when everyone in the group had spoken. They had discovered that the most time anyone had spent with Matthew was only 3 days a year. In total, he had spent less than 2 months with the girls. They wanted to know where he was the rest of the time. They all felt despondent about the situation.
His family business is huge. Even if there were 1,000 of us, I would still want to be with him.
The first girl said.
Right.
A few girls agreed.
Me too.
Another said. Jeff nodded in understanding. So these beautiful girls were brought to the island by his younger brother Matthew. He had not seen his brother in 7 years, but he often thought about him. Jeff smiled as he remembered the games they'd played together when they were young.
Didn't Matthew say that he would come visit us today? Do you know why he brought us all here?
One of the young ladies looked at the others curiously. Another raised an eyebrow and said to the others.
I wonder why he wants so many beautiful young women together with him in such a romantic setting.
Meeting the others' shocked looks, she listlessly added.
I was only joking. It seems that Matthew big brother is injured, and it's quite serious.
Matthew wants him to stay on the island for a while, and he wants us to come here to stay with him.
One of the girls said in a serious voice. When the others heard this, their ears perked up.
Matthew big brother.
Their hearts fluttered. One said what they were all thinking.
So he's here to see his big brother? I wonder if his brother is as handsome as he is. If I can't have Matthew to myself, then maybe I can have his brother.
I really want to meet this big brother right now.
Said another thoughtfully. Another girl agreed.
If Matthew and his brother both fell for me, I think I'd go crazy with joy. I'd marry them both and spend 2 days with Matthew and 2 days with his brother.
Seeing all these beautiful young ladies for a moment, Jeff forgot to breathe. After a few moments, he recovered a little. These women seemed like they were open to anything. His cough attracted the girls' attention. They had been so busy chatting about the 2 young men that they had not noticed him arrive. They all shouted at the same time.
Who are you? Get lost.
One girl screamed. Another shouted.
Look at how he's staring at us. What a leech.
Pervert.
Another girl screamed at Jeff.
Dirty bastard.
A beautiful blonde girl angrily gave Jeff a middle finger. Jeff stayed where he was and didn't say anything. He was rendered speechless after being sprayed with insults by these beautiful girls.
You just said how much you wanted to meet me.
He thought.
You little shit. Scram. Don't let us see you here again.
The first girl screamed at him. Jeff decided not to explain anything to these girls. If they found out he was Matthew's older brother, he would never get away from them. He shook his head and turned around, preparing to leave. At this moment, another girl walked past him. Her fragrance overwhelmed Jeff. It was so beautiful, so aromatic, so pure. All the girls on the beach were gorgeous, but none of them compared to this girl's beauty. Jeff's hands trembled and he dropped one of his crutches. The girl noticed Jeff staring at her. She said,
Damn loser. You don't know how lucky you are just to be able to look at me.
She was so preoccupied with belittling Jeff that she didn't notice the crutch on the ground. She tripped over it and quickly fell, shouting.
Ouch!
Jeff managed to grab her hand and tried to stop her from falling. However, he had not fully recovered from his injuries and he didn't have enough strength, so they fell together. The girl fell on the crutch, hurting her hip. Before she could recover, Jeff landed right on top of her. She cried out.
Ouch!
Feeling as if her bones were breaking, Jeff landed on top of her in a daze. He was confused.
What if I landed on? It's so soft, so elastic. It feels like my face has sunk into a lovely soft pillow.
He was struggling to breathe. He quickly raised his head. He was shocked as he realized that his face had been buried in the girl's chest. Then he noticed that his hands were still on top of her. The girl felt a great weight on her chest. When she looked down, she saw that Jeff's hand was on her breast and Jeff was still sitting on her body. She was horrified.
Bastard!
She screamed angrily. She slapped Jeff's face and shook him off. She quickly stood up and straightened her hair.
Do you know who I am?
The girl pointed at Jeff and screamed.
Stupid little shit. I'm Matthew Florento's girlfriend. You're in so much trouble.
The other girls hurried over to see if they could help her. Listening to the girl's friends, Jeff worked out that her name was Michelle Ortega and she was Matthew's favorite girlfriend. The other girls seemed to follow her lead. Michelle continued screaming at Jeff.
Just you wait. Touch me and you'll be sorry you were ever born.
Michelle crossed her arms in anger as her chest heaved up and down. Her friends also started screaming at him.
I can't believe the nerve of this scumbag. How dare you touch Michelle? Do you have a death wish?
One shouted. Another screeched.
And he was staring at us. We should gouge his eyes out.
How could he do that? I think we should cut his dick off and see if he wants to leer at us.
Then another said with a sneer.
All right, I'll call the island's security team and tell them about this pervert. I'm shocked at their negligence. We're all Matthew Florento's girlfriends. They should be protecting us.
Michelle said forcefully, and the others agreed. Seeing the others nodding in encouragement, she sneered at Jeff and said coldly.
Just wait, Matthew going to have you castrated.
Because they were girlfriends of Matthew Florento, they were convinced that they were better than Jeff, particularly as he was dressed like one of the island's workers. Michelle thought.
I'm Matthew's favorite girlfriend, so I could easily own this island one day. You're just a poor worker. How dare you even look at me?
Jeff picked up his crutches and stared at this group of ferocious women. Originally, he had just wanted to leave quietly, and had even felt a little guilty toward Michelle. But these girls hadn't even given him a chance to explain himself. They had said such cruel things to him.
They hate me so much.
He thought.
Since you want to take me on, let's see what you're made of.
Michelle took out her phone and called the head of the island security team. She looked at Jeff with a sharp smile. But just as she was about to press the call, a young man's voice sounded from behind them.
Darlings, now both your men are here.
The moment they heard the voice, the angered expressions on the girls' faces quickly turned into a surprise. They turned their heads, and when they saw who had arrived, they exploded with joy.
Matthew.
The girls screamed out in surprise as if they had won the jackpot. They quickly forgot all about Jeff. As they rushed over to Matthew, Jeff was suddenly alone. He watched Matthew, who was wearing shorts, a flowery shirt and a huge pair of sunglasses, open his arms to welcome his 10 girlfriends.
Slow down,
Matthew said, as he was mobbed by the girls. But he was too late. He was already surrounded by his girlfriends, who were squeezing him, almost suffocating him. They were kissing him madly all over his face.
All right.
Matthew was being fiercely kissed by the young ladies, and his face was covered in lipstick marks. Michelle coughed a few times when the other girls heard her. They all made way for her.
At least Michelle still has Medicaid. Look at all of you. You're acting like a victim of a famine.
Matthew said as he looked at Michelle, who was standing opposite him. Michelle shyly walked up to Matthew and raised her head to look at him coyly. She put her hands around his head and kissed him deeply. Matthew was speechless.
Wow, I was just praising you for your modesty. Who knew that you'd kiss me with even more passion than them?
Matthew, you're finally here. That smelly worker just insulted me.
Michelle said with a sob and then looked toward Jeff. who was not far away. She rested a hand on Matthew's shoulder to support herself as she said,
It's him. Just now. He put his hand on me. Matthew, you have to teach him that he can't touch me.
Another girl joined in.
Yes, not only did he touch Michelle, but he was also watching us lusting over our bodies.
Matthew, please help us.
Said another. Matthew was also angry. He said to Jeff,
You dared to touch my girlfriend. And you dared to touch so many of the girls. Have you got a death wish?
He walked toward Jeff angrily and said,
Hey, you really have some guts. How dare you touch my girlfriend? You're Jeff.
As he was staring at Jeff, the realization came over him. He finally recognized this man. He was the older brother that had taken care of him when he was young.